Namaste. I am Namita Jaspal, and here I'm going to talk about conservation of Chola Sahib Ji. Before I explain the term Chola Sahib Ji, I would like to emphasize that this conservation work was in more than one way dealing with the fabric of faith. I started conserving a piece of cloth and ended up conserving and restoring faith. Faith, not just of the community or religion or a cultural group. That is one extremely important outcome, though, but also the faith of people in general in the field of conservation and conservator. Coming back to the term Chola Sahib Ji. Chola is a Punjabi and Hindi term for a long gown-like dress. Saheb is of Arabic origin, meaning holder or master. It has passed on to several languages, including Urdu, Hindi, Punjabi, English, etc., and used more often to show respect to a person. This word is also appended to the names of Sikh gurus, and the use doesn't stop there. Nowadays, it is added to the names of all the gurdwaras, temples of Sikhs, the holy books of Sikhs, and any object associated with gurus, like Golden Temple is called Sri Harmandir Sahib Ji. Holy Book of Sikhs is known as Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and dress or chola of Guru is called Chola Sahib Ji. So chola is a dress, and out of respect and faith, it is treated like the person himself by calling it Chola Sahib Ji. The Chola Sahib Ji of this particular case study belongs to the sixth Guru of Sikhs and has a very interesting and important history behind it, which makes it all the more important. I won't go into the complete history, but mention the crux or the gist of it. Sixth Guru, Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, was freed from imprisonment in the fort of Gwalior by Emperor Jahangir in October 1619. He managed to negotiate the release of 52 kings and princes along with him. Jahangir said, "Let those rajas or kings be freed who can hold the Guru's court and walk out of prison." So this chola was specially stitched in a day and night's time for Guru Hargobind Sahib Ji, and Sikh community deeply loves and honors the teachings and sacrificial deeds of their gurus and are deeply attached to their belongings. In this presentation, I'll be talking about the condition of the Chola Sahib Ji, the issues around the conservation work, the technical aspects, which include analysis, treatment, like cleaning, removal of old restorations, mending, etc., and ongoing preventive measures. First of all, talking about the condition. When I first saw Chola Sahib Ji and then looked at the group of community people who approached me for its preservation, I was a little scared because Chola Sahib Ji was not only extremely aged and fragile, but also had complicated problems because of the improper handling and display. Problems with the condition of the Chola Sahib Ji included soiling, tears and holes, general aging related brittleness, fungal infestation, damage by insects, previous restoration attempts, and wrong or faulty display. Actually, the effect of gravity is generally the main load on the fabric, and more so when the display is vertical. It experiences stress because of its own weight. The crux of this case study lies in the issues that are not very technical. The bigger issues were community related. The very decision of getting conservation treatment done or not took months. Once it was unanimously agreed and decided that Chola Sahib Ji is deteriorating fast and hence must be treated professionally, There were issues about how to go about it. Should it be taken to some professional laboratory? Community was not at all in favor of moving the sacred Chola Sahib Ji from the Gurdwara where it was housed. So the job had to be done in small hall where the Gurdwara was shifted because of the construction work going on and in the main building. Hence, we had to do the conservation work in full public view where people were visiting all through the day since prayers were performed morning through evening. All the Gurdwara staff as well as the visitors were curious and always with some query. Considering the condition of the fabric of Chola Sahib Ji and more importantly the community issues associated with it, a decision was made to follow the thumb rule of minimum intervention. But the depth of minimum intervention varies from case to case. For example, in this case, though we wanted to follow minimum possible intervention, there were areas which needed treatment. For example, the fungal infestation and the old repairs done on Chola Sahib Ji. Talking about the technical aspects of the project, we'll be discussing analysis, cleaning, removing of old restorations, and the mending. Talking about analysis, a detailed visual examination confirmed the deterioration problems we found in our first visit to see the Chola Sahib Ji. One major observation while carefully studying the condition with unaided eye was numerous haphazard restoration attempts with needle and thread. These were causing uneven stress points. Observation under higher magnification confirmed the plain weave pattern. Stripes were made by alternating loose plain weave with the extra yarn plain weave. Solubility test. Solubility test was performed on a few fallen fibers that we gathered. Their solubility in sodium hypochlorite solution and further microscopic examination confirmed that the fabric of Chola Sahib Ji was silk. Treatment. The very first step required was to surface clean Chola Sahib Ji to get rid of loads and layers of dust and dirt. This was done with the help of soft brush and dirt attracting sponges. Next decision to be made was about wet cleaning, and we decided for rinsing with distilled water. We were not keen on removing the stains. We also did not want to make the fabric go through more number of rinses and put it in danger of being torn further as the wet condition makes it even more fragile. But we needed to remove the huge amount of deteriorating agents that were still there deeply entangled in the fabric. So we decided upon rinsing with distilled water to loosen and remove the stuck-up particles, and we were quite successful in our attempt to do that. Rinsing with water was important to dislodge the strongly adhered dirt and debris, which was damaging the strength of the fabric. Water dissolves most of the yellow and acidic products that deteriorate natural fibers. It also acts as a plasticizer for the fiber polymers, thereby improving the flexibility and softness of the textile. Third step was to remove all the old restorations carefully and align them in their original shape. Missing areas were identified. Finally, mending was done, but we chose not to use needle and thread. Various adhesives were considered, but we finalized hydroxypropyl cellulose. The silk fabric of the robe needed support to resist further damage, but was found to be too fragile to be treated with needle and thread or adhesives that needed heat or pressure treatment. It was understood that using needle and thread at so many places would have further weakened the fabric. So it was decided to use a mild, reversible, and transparent adhesive. The missing areas also needed to be consolidated using an adhesive method. The aim of this reinforcement was to hold together deteriorated fabric and thereby improve the physical strength of the silk. Since heat and pressure treatments could be harsh for the aged fabric, it was decided that a solvent-activated adhesive should be used. Solvent-activated adhesive hydroxypropyl cellulose had shown good results recently with overlaying of very fragile surfaces, so it was finalized to be used in this case. Pieces of silk crinoline were sprayed with distilled water on a polythene or mylar sheet. Then they were aligned and coated with adhesive solution with the help of a brush. It was allowed to set and left to dry overnight. For mending, the adhesive coated support fabric crinoline was peeled from the polythene sheet and applied over the weak silk fabric. It was reactivated using solvent mixture 1:1 ethanol water mixture. The results of the conservation treatment of the sacred Chola Sahib Ji were tremendously positive. Its life was prolonged and it was visibly healthier. Display and ongoing preventive measures. Initially, when I started working on Chola Sahib Ji, people involved and some sevadars were always looking at me with anger and doubt. So, to convince them about preventive measures and new display was extremely difficult. But after the conservation was successfully completed under their watchful eye, their attitude has changed. The same very people now show respect and are more keen themselves about the preservation plans. When I was writing this paper, talks were going on regarding new display case. Then recently, um, design was finalized, and now, while I'm reading this paper, the new display case might be in the process of being made. After finishing the conservation treatment, I took some basic measures for preventive conservation of Chola Sahib Ji by providing a passive humidity control measure and installing digital RH and temperature displaying device within the old display case. Wooden base was replaced with a neem wood tray and a foam core board with microchamber technology laid between Chola Sahib Ji and the tray so that it was not in direct contact with the tray. The conservation treatment of the Chola Sahib Ji not only brought the community closer to their object of worship and faith, but it did a lot more. One of the good things it did was creating faith in the community as well as people in general for the profession of conservation and conservators. Faith restored in a culture through conservation builds a stronger culture.